Well, welcome, Lena and Jared. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you. You have an amazing and ordinary, not ordinary story to share. And I obviously had an honor to work with both of you. You're amazing human beings, amazing souls who are on a very profound journey of healing and self-exploration. And also like co-creating this new way of relating to each other and really finding the way to stay on the soul journey, even if, sometimes you find a lot of differences, right, between you being like more traditional partners. So thank you for doing this interview conversation. And the first question I would like to ask, when we just started to work together, what brought you to this work? Like what was the challenge that you were going through, and why did you decide to do this work with me?
We just kind of came to a crossroads. We actually kind of separated or kind of ended things temporarily, and Jared moved out. And in that duration of having that little separation, I really missed him a lot. And I wanted to work on our relationship. And so that's kind of how it all came about. I think we talked about it in the beginning before the separation, and we weren't to a place yet where we were ready for the coaching. And then I think just the separation between us, it kind of opened our minds more to be more open to the coaching program. And so that's ultimately why we just got to a point where we really loved each other and we wanted to try and make it work. And so we felt like traditional options were not really for us because we're not really super traditional people. And so we decided, we just had other friends that had really good results and loved the program. And I had met you before, Laena, and just love your energy and what you bring to really all situations we've been in contact with each other. And so it felt good and right to try this new thing. So it's kind of how it all started.
Yeah. And you were married for like how long?
So we've been married, we were married for like 6 years, but we've now been married for 7.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you've been like having more traditional like family unit together.
Yeah, we've been together for almost 10 years, but married 6, well, 7.
Yeah. All right, thank you, Lena. And Jared, would you like to share your side?
Yeah, I mean, my side was, I moved out and I wanted to do the therapy. I just wanted to do something to try to keep us together. Um, but like Lena said, she wasn't ready for it yet. And so, yeah, I was just excited to uh, dive deeper into our relationship.
Mhm. Yeah, beautiful. So the next question would be the journey itself. So it's like when you were in this space, like what was basically the biggest challenge or the pattern? Maybe like the pattern would be probably the important word here, because like it is universal with all couples, and we all develop this kind of patterns that are not really aligned with how we want to relate and not really aligned with who we are, but we develop this pattern and kind of we get stuck with it. So let's talk about that a little bit, because we did the couple sessions, we then did the separate sessions with each of you to really like uh, work with this pattern and dissolve it and create something different, right? So what was the initial pattern that was like really hard to break free from?
Do you want to talk about that or do you want me to?
Yeah. So for me, I felt like the pattern that was hard to break free of was like what a relationship looked like and what everybody expected, um, uh, our relationship to be like,
Mm.
and my expectations from my childhood about what a relationship is or what it should look like or what I was expected to do or who I was expected to be. Um, so I just felt like I kept going back into those patterns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's a big one. Like all the shoots that we like take in when we enter the relationship space, and then they alter our personality, our initial like uh I am statement, right? Who am I? Like do I need to alter myself, right? And Lana, what's your experience?
Similar, I feel like energetically wise, I am very much fire and very much driven and going. And I would say that Jared is very much the opposite of that. He is a lot of water. And so initially, and still, like, those are attributes I love about Jared, is that he brings that calmness and that water into my life. But I just felt like it was at a point where it was imbalanced to where I kept seeing us cycle through the same issues over and over again. And so I wanted to just get to a place to shift that dynamic, to introduce more water into my own being, rather than being so dependent on Jared for that energy, and maybe vice versa. But for me, I just wanted, and I didn't see it in the moment. I know, like, one of our first calls was you defining the boundaries or the agreements. And I remember still you saying, um, one of the agreements was to let go of control. And I couldn't even comprehend what that meant in that moment, because that's always been how it has been.
Yeah.
So I was very triggered in that moment, and we had a really good call that session because I was in that space and we talked through it. But I do feel like that has been a lot of our relationship in the past, as far as like me kind of controlling the relationship in the direction that I feel it should be going, like, and that the things Jared should be doing, like those kinds of things. So that was a really hard piece of feedback for me to receive in that moment.
Mm. Yeah, I remember those sessions. So they were like single sessions for both of you separately, right? Individual sessions, and there were some of them that were supercharged and triggering, but those ones somehow hold the most value, right? And I have to admit that your grace and your capacity to hold that energy and to go deeper with the trigger rather than like push it away, right, or resist it. So yeah, that's definitely like a lot of like deeper inner work also comes with the relationship, because we can go only as far as we can go on our own to grow, and then we need a partner to mirror us, right, to show us something that we don't see about ourselves, right, and just going deeper with each process with you guys. Jared, what was your experience with the individual session? What was the biggest value for you to receive when we just have private sessions one-on-one with you?
Yeah, the private sessions, I feel the biggest value that I got out of them was digging deeper into myself about what I really wanted and to be able to see it from a different perspective. And I would get stuck in thinking things are one way because that's the way that I perceive them. And then you could show me a different way of thinking and got me out of being stuck in my own emotions that I built up in my own head about the situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
And then instead of, thinking that it's one way because that's what I think, it gave me the freedom to let go of that and to go and see what it really was rather than just think what it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, all these hidden blind spots, like looking deeper inside and giving yourself permission to see more expanded picture, right? Shifting the point of reference. Yeah. What I wanted to ask you guys next is about the bridging piece. Like, so we started with the couple session for me to tune in into the energy of the couple, right? Because I knew Lena a little bit better because I met her before at the retreats. And it was helpful to tune into your couple energy and to feel like, okay, what's going on with these people? What's the field that they're co-creating, right? And after that, we did a lot of separate sessions with each of you. And then we came back to the couple sessions to bridge it back. And like once you became more connected to your own deeper truth, to who you are, to your identity, sovereignty, right? Boundaries, energies, like owning who you are, then we wanted to bridge it back, right? Without any kind of like dynamics that reflects like somebody is dominant and somebody has to be submissive, that dynamic, right? That is often present in relationship. So I wonder what are your memory and experience of like bridging these two worlds, because they are different worlds and you guys in a way complementary, like the opposites, right? And feminine masculine, it is also complementary and the opposites. So what was your experience of like bridging these two worlds and creating agreements together, setting up the boundaries and actually navigating it in real life?
I feel like it was really helpful. I feel like when we had our own individual sessions and then we came back together, I just felt like it was a safe space to kind of talk about the harder things or more difficult things that I felt like it was important to be able to work through. I feel like the agreements that we formed were very helpful. And I feel that even though there were a couple moments where both of us were triggered based on, life experiences that happened, one in Jared's life and one in my life, that it was really helpful to go back to the agreements that we did have in place and kind of see that the issues that came up weren't really defined in the agreements. And so that was kind of a lot of our own inner work that we individually had to move through because it wasn't part of the agreement. And so I feel like the agreements were really helpful and the sessions were really helpful. I feel like it was just a safe space to explore.
Mm. Yeah, I like the word explore. That's so, underestimated in relationship space, right?
Yeah.
Jared, what's your experience about bridging two worlds?
Yeah, my experience was pretty similar. As we talked about being able to define more of ourselves and what we were looking for out of a partner. And when we would try to do that outside of a session, a lot of our triggers would come up. And so if we did it in the session, then it was easier uh, to be able to get out of the triggers and go back into what we had intended to go in there for, which was, like Lena said, to explore. And because I feel, at least for me, a lot of the the issues I had again was thinking one way, and I couldn't get out of that. And so bridging that gap was being able to think in multiple ways, and there's not, it has to be within this confined box. It can be anything that you want it to be. You just have to know what you want.
Mm-hmm.
So the
Right.
individual sessions helped us know what we wanted, and the couple sessions was, a backing of that. Now you know what you want. Now you need to explore how to communicate that with each other in a safe space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, beautiful. Thank you, Jared. Yeah, so I also like feel really proud of you guys of how you navigated this process and also what you have created, co-created together, right? So it's eventually you decided to have a little bit different model of relating than traditional marriage and allowed each other to be who you are and like to embrace your own sovereignty, right? And autonomy, and at the same time to stay in the relationship and keep each other in like the best support system and provide this heart-centered, loving energy for each other still. So maybe you can share a little bit more about that experience, creating this different model of relating and how it works for you guys and how it's different from traditional marriage.
You can go first this time. I'll let you.
Okay. Yeah. So we are still married. I live separately than Laena, and we essentially it's kind of back in the beginning, like when we were dating, and we uh, see each other when we want to, and we call each other when we want to, and we respect each other if the other person is busy or doesn't want to talk, or uh, she has her own life and I have my life, and we come together um, to connect as soul friends.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
Our souls are drawn to each other.
Mm.
So whenever we need support or pretty much anything, we're there for each other. And if we can't be there, then we understand that they want to be there. They just have other things.
Yeah, yeah, that's beautiful, right? And that's embracing that central agreement that we were working on, like giving and receiving from the heart, right? It's because what can be distorted in traditional marriage because of all the pressures and all the shoulds, that people stop giving from the heart and people stop receiving from the heart, and that builds the walls of separation basically between people. When you really find a way to go back to that initial exchange of energy, of vibrancy, and like genuine desire to give and receive, this is when you feel like, wow, that feels really good, right? Whatever it takes, even if it takes shifting the whole paradigm of relating and finding your own unique way to build your relationship, right? Lena, what's your experience?
Yeah, it's similar to what Jared was saying. I feel like there was just this moment in time where, we were in this container where we were working on our relationship together. And I feel like it was just this moment where I kind of saw that we were staying in our patterns. And I feel like the only way out of that was to shift into this new dynamic. And knowing that Jared is very important to me and I love him very much and I want him to stay in my life no matter who comes in my life and vice versa, who comes into his life. I know that we do have that soul connection and we are drawn together. And even though our paths might not align in the partnership way, they do align in staying in relationship with each other in some sort of dynamic. And so shifting into this soul friends relationship, I feel like was a key piece to my work and my healing, as well as I feel, and Jared can speak for himself, but I feel like for his as well. I feel that as soon as we officially made this transition, that the any expectations that were on both sides were just gone. It was just like the word that comes to mind is just very freeing. I still feel very free in our relationship. I feel like the only time I ever struggle in any type or sort of way is when I'm trying to define what it should look like. It's like, as long as we stay open and stay in this state of flow with our agreements that we have made, it doesn't matter. Like, it just is perfect the way that it is. And I know that, like, if someone else comes into my life, that part of my agreement with that person would be that Jared's still in my life. And if that's something that they're not open to, then that's not somebody I'm willing to be open to either, if that makes sense. Like,
like
Jared is just,
non-negotiable.
yeah, non-negotiable, because I really want Jared in my life, and it is a non-negotiable. So it feels good. And like I said, it's only when I try to define where we're at, and I think that's just society, you know, like telling people where we're at, it's harder to explain because people don't understand it. It's like, and so then I start to question, like, how do I say it? And what is this? And that's the only time that I feel like it causes any type of struggle. And then I always come back to, like, as long as Jared and I feel good, then it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, this is so big, right? So how we create something unique and beautiful and something that works for us. And you see you've been on this journey for a while. After a few months, you start to trust the space. It's like, wow, it's actually working. But then the biggest struggle is to actually explain it to others, because there's so a black and white kind of mentality in the society. It's like, who is this to you? And and that make people kind of feel confused and uncomfortable and project their own thing. But like, keep expanding no matter what, and actually role modeling something beautiful that maybe they can question what they're doing with their lives and relationships as well. Right?
Yeah, I love that. I got chills when you were talking and saying that. So yeah, I feel like it is really special what we've created, and I feel like it's special what we're still creating, right? It's like, the key has just been open communication with each other, with where we're at and things we're moving through and things we're working through, and then just being the support system for each other when needed.
Yeah, yeah, so beautiful. Yeah, I can feel your space. Yeah, so the last question maybe I would like to ask is, so how is it different, you think, from a traditional approach to like therapy or, counseling about, how to do relationship within a traditional marriage, like how this work was different for you guys, and if you can find a way to like expand on that a little bit.
I feel like I need more time to fill into that question. So Jared, you're ready.
Yeah. So I guess, I've not been to traditional um therapy, so I don't really know what that's like. But from what I've seen or heard other people go to it, um I feel like they just talk about everything, but they don't dig into themselves deeper. And kind of like what Lena was saying about how um, we were just going through the same patterns before we made the change. And traditional therapy would seem like that. Just these are my emotions and I want to get them out and I want to be heard, rather than why with you it was more like looking at myself and why do I have these emotions? Are these emotions that are mine, or am I stowing them from my childhood? Or so you really helped us, break away from that relationship model of, I have to be this, or she has to be that, and we could just really define what we wanted. And I don't feel like a traditional model uh, goes into the emotions behind it as deeply. And I felt like with you, you were really good at reading our energy and reading, looking more at our soul rather than, the human in front of you that uh, has all their walls up and everything. You just could look at her soul and kind of like Laena said, freeing to where we could be open to, like traditional therapy. They go off a model that wants it to be a certain way.
Mhm.
And with you, it I never felt like you were pushing me in a direction. There was never like oh, you need to be here in order to get these, achievements unlocked for the relationship. It was just, you were just there to support and to help us grow as individuals as well as relationship.
Mm, beautiful, Jared. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. It's also helpful for me to hear. It's like, wow, that's beautiful. Yeah, thank you. Lana, what did your
Yeah, I mean,
insight about that?
said it beautifully. Like I just listened to his words and I'm like, oh, he's just so wise. But I feel, yeah, exactly what he said. But I also feel like a piece was there is no right or wrong, and there's no good or bad. And coming back to the energy of things and the exploration piece, like I don't ever feel, I just always felt accepted. And I felt like very safe that I could talk to you about anything. And when we were together, we could all talk about everything. Like there was nothing that was off limits. It felt very safe to where we could kind of explore where we wanted to go. And I think a lot of that does have to do with like knowing that there's not any good or bad or right or wrong. And that we're all on this path of evolution together, trying to figure out what works for us as individuals as well as like what works for us as a couple. And I just feel like it was very transformative for me as an individual, as a soul. It has just brought so much clarity into my life as far as like so many things, just really, as Jared was saying, going inward and connecting with myself. And that's not something I really had fully done before. And so that was a really big piece, is to go inside and really connect with the pieces that I felt like I want. And so I feel like I'm still connecting to that and coming back to that. And I feel that that's important, an important piece that I have connected with through this process of like tuning into me and checking in with me on a constant basis of like, does this feel good? And do there need to be boundaries in place so that it does feel good? It's just like, again, constantly just coming back to me and checking in with me, that I don't feel like I fully had that piece yet.
Mm. So beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I love hearing this piece. Actually, I want to like enhance what you both shared, that it's like there is personality and there is a soul, right? It's also we're applying our spirituality as well. Like we can't just skip that, right? Because most people feel that they do have a soul and there is some kind of soul journey that each person comes here to experience, right? And we have to honor each other's soul paths. And at the same time, we might have some joint lessons to learn, and like how do we discover what are these lessons if we don't create space, a safe space to look at them together, right? So that's something very beautiful that both of you mentioned. And I was like, yeah, I see that, because sometimes human personalities can block the soul connection because of all this programming that we received and like all the shoots and what we were talking about today. Thank you so much, guys. I love you so much, and I'm so proud of you. And I'm really honored that we've been working together. And yeah, I'm excited for you to explore more. There is so much more to explore together on your own path, and be there for each other, be the support system that is consistent and always there. It's a very deep connection that this work can bring you, that usually marriage is a little bit more like, you know, kind of black and white. It's like you're either my husband or not. It's like, and this space is much deeper because you do connect on the soul level and you honor that. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. It's been an honor,
Thank you.
truly. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Laena.
Thank you.